Hey, what's up, Dean? Sear Performance at shop, and working on the Impala again. So, Sen, his name is Sen, actually brought me the new engine harness which last night, which was very cool of him because I didn't have to wait or do nothing. So, the first thing this morning, I came in, laid the harness on the engine, started on the driver's side with the. Normally, I start at the throttle body and then I work my way, but the throttle body is so far over, being that Brock supercharger pushes it way over there. I had to just kind of skip those and go to the injectors. So I wired it all behind the motor, or ran it, not wired it, but everything is plugged in. The cam sensor is plugged in down there. The transmission harness runs down. You can't see it, but that's all plugged in. It runs kind of more on top of the transmission instead of down and to the side. So then I came across the firewall, used a hole that was already there with a P-clamp to hold the whole harness up. Kind of ran it on this inner fender through the factory like heater hose loop. This is the breakout that goes inside the car, so I loomed it with the braided loom, pulled out these are the fan triggers. On the list here, it gives you all this bundle here is pretty much all of these with the exception of this red and this multiple. I'm not really sure what that is, but all of these. So dark green, dark blue is fan 1, fan 2, so that's these. Broke out my little terminals. They did have the fan wiring wrong, so what they did was ran a ground to the 12 volt switched, and then they ran it to this side to the ground, like a ground relay, like, grounding the relay. And then they had the green wire on the 12 volt switch side. The green wire is actually a fuel pump relay signal from the ECU. I already pinned it out. It's on the red connector. I believe it's pin 9. I believe that's what it was. It's either 9 or 25. Yeah, it's pin 9 right here. So this dark green one right here on pin 9. This is your fuel pump output, so it's actually a ground signal, so you trigger your relay with that ground. And then this is 12 volt switched, which is why it's like a thin gauge wire. There's really no amperage that comes through that. Then I added, this is the fuel pump output wire, so it goes, I just kind of left it long so that I could tie it into the fuel pump wire right there. And then I got to get some of these Metra Pack 280, I believe, terminals, so that I could add in. I'm going to add it in right here, the next one over, so it'll have its own fuse for that relay, for that battery power for that relay. So this wire will go on the far side, like over, this is hard to do with one hand. It'll go over there, and then I'm gonna bring from that side of the car, that red wire hanging down, that red wire right there, I'm gonna bring that across the car and put it in this side over here. This is the battery wire, but the terminal doesn't come any further, so I'm gonna stab it in here so I can get direct battery to the fuel pump for the relay. So hopefully these come soon. Then this fuse panel will be wrapped up. I'm going to basically just flip it over, and I'm going to mount it right to the inner fender, probably just below the heater hose over here. Maybe above the heater hose. I haven't fully decided, because the heater hose can get pushed down, and that was kind of my thought, was to push it down like that and maybe tie it to the AC line or whatever that is. Looks like an AC line. Yeah, it's one of the AC lines, or tie it to the P-clamp, something like that. Then, because there's 1, 2, 3 fans. Yeah, 3 fans. Oh, the other relay is actually the ignition relay. So that powers all the ignition for the ECU and all that stuff. But because there's 3 fans, I need 3 relays for the 3 fans, plus the little pump. So that would be 4 relays. You kind of start to add up a whole lot of relays. But this old fuse box that was on the car, I kind of debated on where to put it. That side's getting clustered up. You know, it's getting a lot of stuff. So I kind of looked over here and I said, well, you know, this would be a good spot. It's hidden in a way that it's tucked under the shroud pretty far, and it already had that bracket to kind of stand it out. So it almost works out perfect to where the clips that hold the cover, you just squeeze down and you pull out and the cover comes off. Well, it did. No, you squeeze the little pins, sorry. And then the cover comes off like that. So now you have all these fuses, which 3 of them are for the relays. But it's mounted on there pretty nice. I like it. I like it a lot. It has a whole bunch of output wires. These are 2 output wires. One of these green ones isn't. Oh, sorry. These 2 reds are outputs, which I'll run to the to 2 of the fans. One of these greens is an output, which I'll have to run. I'll have to pull it out. That's what I'm waiting for the terminals. I got to pull the green wire out and add a heavier gauge battery wire into it. So that'll give me my 3 fan outputs off this box. So they'll all be fused and relayed directly off of here. Then the pump already has a relay. And it has a built-in fuse, but I think what I'm going to do, because it's pretty thin gauge wire, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that fuse, utilize the relay for my 4th relay, and possibly mount it somewhere up in there, you know, somewhere tucked back like here, so it's kind of hidden in a way. And then I need a battery and a 12 volt. So this pink is 12 volt, which I could tie off of one of those pinks, which are all 12 volt ignition. And then it needs a battery feed, a fused battery feed, which would be either one of those oranges are fused battery feeds. So that's my idea for this side. And then that'll take care of like all the engine stuff. I made my alternator feed that runs down and goes to the starter. I just got to zip tie this wire up. This is my new solenoid wire, the big heavy gauge purple factory wire. And then these are just, they were in the harness just taped up. So this is my ignition, key on ignition and run. So I'm going to take that and wire it to this one here, which is switched 12 volt for that fuse box. I already ran the battery to right there. You see the bottom terminal with the heat shrink. So that's a direct battery. So the box already has direct battery power. The car has power. I have to then grab his Dakota Digital because I started looking it up and then I got kind of sidetracked. The Dakota Digital is not fed off the CAN bus on this. That's why I was able to pull the entire harness out, and the wires that are left that I pulled out yesterday are all these are all the gauges. So I have to, I'm imagining white is the speed and you know all of that. There should be a check engine light in here somewhere. So I have to figure out dropping this harness. Basically I'm going to drop this harness out. I'm going to pull it all out, and then I'll put everything back real neat and whatever. This is the glove box light, which is battery power. but I'll, kind of trace it back to the other side to what I think is that board over there, through the whatever panel that is over there. I believe that's where all those go. So I'll have to feed that harness through the firewall up there, that hole right there. I'll have to feed that harness in and tie everything off. Now, I also have to look up the Vintage Air because it already has a relay, which I believe is the compressor relay. From when I kind of quick looked, you can see the light blue wire right there. That should be the output going to the compressor, what I believe, or to the switches out there. I think it's to the pressure switch out there. But I'm gonna have to like untangle all of this because it's a mess. But I haven't come in the car yet, so I'm working outside, then I'll come inside and I'll fix this wiring, the gauge wiring. I also have to fix the heater hose. So that heater hose there has a little bit of a kink, but I think if I take it and kind of flip it over, it won't. You can see it's kinked right there. If I flip it over, it'll have a little better of a loop in it. That's a really tight loop that it has. So that's what I'm thinking I could do. Which, here we go. I'm working outside, but I'm going to start messing with the crap in the car. Which I'll probably have to undo the clamp on it. I would imagine I have to undo the clamp. Or the nut, whatever it is, to be able to spin this around. Yeah. She tight. So yeah, I'll fix this little issue and then there. So something more or less like that. I'll have to, I don't know what I'm gonna have to do here. I gotta do something with that because it has too much of a kink. And then the other hose, which is somewhere, oh, that one, there it is, that kink right there. So that's another kink in the heater hose that I have to try and figure out how. Either I'm gonna have to put a longer piece, 2 longer pieces. I may end up having to put 2 longer pieces and kind of bring them out here and route them, but I have to figure those out. I just don't know if I'll be able to get those off. Yeah, there's one right there. There's one clamp. There's the other clamp up there. Yay me. That one up there, just the clamp is from the top, possibly. I can't tell. Looks like the clamp might be from the top, so that might be a struggle street because you can't get to the top of the box. So that one I might struggle with a little bit. The top one is a little better, so I might be able to fix the top one, replace the bottom hose with one that's a little bit longer, kind of come from over here more to the side and do a loop. No idea what that is. I'm not going to touch it or look at it. Oh, that's the battery for, I believe, yeah, for the Vintage Air. Oh boy, which is up on the fender. Anyways, whatever. But car has power now. Yeah, that's this one here. That one there. So I got to tie that into a battery feed, which be another reason to carry that wire over here. Possibly put like a terminal block that I can connect, multiple battery wires to. There's a wad of wires on the starter. The big main battery cable is on there. Then there's the 2 for this fuse box. Then there's another one for something. Yeah, there's another one on there for something. Oh, for the alternator. So there's a lot of stuff already taken up on that starter. This is the map sensor. I already cut it and tied it into, this is for the Bosch sensor that they have in the supercharger. So I already cut the wiring. I cut quite a bit of the wiring off. Connected that. This is for the intake temp sensor, which is over there. And that's its own separate, it's more of this style plug. That's its own separate plug right here. So I need to take this yellowish cream color wire and pull it back over to the map sensor. I just haven't started doing that because it's a little more involved. Like, this harness is completely taped from right here all the way back. I believe it's taped all the way. It's kind of what it looks like to me. I think it is. I do. Yeah, so it's taped all the way. So to cut that and undo it all, whatever. Other option is to find the wire somewhere over here, cut it, splice it out. So I just haven't done all of that yet because I was trying to get the fuse boxes going and stuff. I think what I'm gonna do is, because I still got to do the AC switch. Another reason I got to look up the vintage air stuff. But I have to mount the ECU, which I'm kind of thinking right over here, mount it with the plugs facing out. There's not a lot of room for the plugs to go on it. I could pull a little bit of slack back from over there. I could pull it back this way, but I want to make this, somewhat neat. I hate the look of that right there, all those wires, but it kind of is what it is. I might be able to kind of group them in the halves and put a bunch of tape to kind of sort of hide it. So that's kind of my idea, and I already know that the red number 25 is my IAT intake air temp sensor. It's that one there next to the purple, next to the yellow, in between the purple and yellow. So that's pin 25. So that goes to my intake temp sensor. That's my signal for the intake temp sensor. So I already know that's the wire. So if I look in the harness, I should be able to find it. Kind of where I'm at right now. I had a couple of things I had to run around and do, but no big deal. So yeah, I don't know, babbling now, but everything's connected. The oil pressure I'll have to run off the Dakota Digital. But again, that's an inside thing. So I'll put the sensor and get the wire harness thrown in. I'm going to get this harness thrown in the firewall, and then just kind of go from there, and we'll see where. So quick update on this. Tomorrow I should be very, very close to at least minimal firing it up. The other thing I did do is I did get a fuel pressure gauge on it. And I used like a power probe on the fuel pump wire, and it went like 62 pounds. So I'll be able to see what the pressure is once I get it running. It's very important that the injector data, the flow rate, is dialed to the pressure, because if I'm not mistaken, the ECU sees it either 43.5 or 58, fine and good. So that's a Justin thing. I'll text him, I'll text him maybe tomorrow if I get the car back up and running. He already sent me a base file for it. So if I get the car back up and running, I'll data log real quick, and I'll send him a data log and just tell him that the pressure is at whatever when the motor's running. So that's kind of everything. That's pretty much Babel Street. I'm tired. And been a long day. So for this one, I appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. Leave me a comment. Have a good day.